the new Airfix Mosquito. What are we thinking? Find out right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel, welcome back if you've been here before. Now indeed, today I'm having a look inside the box of the new Havilland Mosquito PR.XVII in 1/72 scale from Airfix. It arrived on my door this morning from a very nice courier chap from DPD, well done to them. It's a really nice looking kit, it's an intriguing kit, but there's some sort of strange things about it which I found, I don't know. Anyway, because it's such a new kit, I'm not going to be going through the history of this or indeed the history of the kit itself. We've done that before, I'm pretty sure. So instead, I'll crack on and look at what you get in your box and whether you're going to maybe want to spend your money on it. Now, as usual, if you enjoy the show, please remember, imperial thumbs up on the like button below. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of all my future videos on whatever subject that may be as they turn up. And as ever, if you want to offer a bit more concrete support, you can do that through Super Thanks. You can do that by becoming a channel member, or you can go through any of my partner programs, one of which is the Airfix affiliate program. Click on the link below in the information box, and if you buy anything from Airfix, then at no extra cost to you, Airfix will give a little bit of money to this channel, which is lovely. So let's not hang around. Let's have a look at what you get inside your box of the Havilland Mosquito PR.XVII in 1/72 from Airfix. So, what do we get inside the box? Lovely piece of box artwork of the British aircraft with the fancy tail. Inside we have a big plastic bag, inside which are the frames. One, two, three, I think that's 4. We'll have a look at those later. Plus, of course, the clear frame, or 5, because 5 or 6 are small bits. Plus the clear frames, because those are in their own separate plastic bag inside here. And of course, we have the instruction sheet and decal sheet. Instruction sheet looks pretty much normal. We'll have a look through that in a minute. And of course the decal sheet, very pretty looking thing as well. We'll have a close-up look at this as well. Here we have frame A, obviously the cockpit, floor, the 2 halves of the fuselage and the engine nacelles. Frame B, of course, main wings, tailplane, fins and rudder. There's no frame C. I suspect that's to do with bombs and things like that from the B-16, the previous launch, because these are all bits and pieces to do with cameras and camera positions around the aircraft. This is frame D. Frame E, and we have engine parts, propeller, exhausts, wheels, prop boss and the doors, extra long tanks and undercarriage for one side of the aircraft. And of course frame F is exactly the same thing really for the other side of the aircraft. And finally frame G for the grey plastic. These are tail wheel, cabin components, cockpit components, the control column and so on and so forth. Little bits and pieces for the front ends and 1 or 2 smaller accessories. And finally the clear parts in frame H. Frame H here is pretty much the same as the bomber version. I can't remember how big the wingtip extensions were on the original. I think these are pretty much the same size. Canopy differences and things like that. The main differences on this extra sort of subframe here, which are all the ports for the cameras, and we're going to be making some holes in the plane for the cameras to go in. Have a bit of a closer look at the plastic. I'll use one of the A and B frames here. This is the B frame with wings, because these are the tools that would have been around the longest, because they're the wings. So would have been used for the B16 as well as this, the PR version. The mouldings look okay. The panel lines are quite well pronounced, but not crazy. They'll be easy enough to do some nice shading on later on. Lots and lots of rivet detail there. In terms of things like ejector pins, there's a lot of them on the inside. Some have been, apparently some here, like here, have been ground out, but then some others here and here haven't, so we need to bring, especially around here, we'll need to bring these ones down for these wings to close properly. They've not been completely ground down, but they look fine. The plastic looks okay. It's this sort of slightly brownish plastic. I don't know if you caught Sprue Talk recently. They did mention they'd sort of gone to a slightly different plastic in their overseas production, a bit more like the one they use for the Spitfire over here, I think. So it feels a little bit harder, but not like really sort of Japanese hard, sort of almost brittle. But we'll see how this builds later on. And in terms of detail, we have this really small pilot figure again. We came across this with the bomber version, very small figure. Reasonably well defined. I think because the plastic looks a little bit shiny, it's difficult to see. It has actually got some reasonable amounts of detailing. It comes, if you prime this, you see there's more detail than you think on the pilot there. There's just other bits and pieces. There's the control panel, instrument panel up there, the wheels, back wheels, and the control column, which must be about 4 foot long, judging by that, if you go by the scale of the pilot. Anyway, they look okay. There's no real flash that I can see, considering this is, again, this is probably part of the original tooling, so it's okay. It's not bad. Plastic does look a little bit shiny though, which is always a worry to me. The instructions very much up to the usual type of modern Airfix instructions. Bit about the plane here in 3 languages and 2 more languages. In here, general terms about the instructions for assembly, and of course a key to show you what all the icons mean, which is fine. Onto the instructions themselves. Again, pretty much the standard sort of thing. In red they pick out bits that you've just done in previous steps. Here they've attempted to give you a little bit of colour, help with the colour information and things like that. It's not obviously full colour, and it's not all that accurate, because 78 is interior green and 163 is dark green. So you're putting dark green on interior green, one bit's grey. But it's just to sort of point out where the differences are. This bit here is, I'll come back to in a while. Transparent parts are always blue, and there's bits here, purple bits, where you're using part of the wing as a jig to make the undercarriage, which I think is really clever. We did that on the original Mosquito when we built it about 18 months ago now. There's a spray mask, so if you do the interior of the undercarriage bay and get it all nicely detailed and all that, there's a spray mask so you don't ruin it if you're trying to spray over the top, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, the instructions look very, very similar. Obviously they would, to the Mozzie we built year before last. At the end of the 2 schemes, there's this first one. It is number 60 Squadron, South African Air Force, in Italy, during the war, January 45. And you can see all over RAF photo reconnaissance blue with yellow spinners, and this sort of funky red and white striped tail, invasion stripes all the way around. Yeah, looks pretty cool. And then the other scheme, the bees scheme, which I think is the one I'm going to do, is from 635th, that should say, I'm guessing, bomb group, 25th bomb group, squadron. 325th photographic wing. I don't believe there are 324 other wings doing photo reconnaissance, but there we go. At RF Watton in Norfolk in September 44. Again, invasion stripes, this time on the only on the undersides. Big red tails, and all over PRU blue again, with matte blue spinners. So I think this is a scheme I'll go for. I think it's really nice, but they're both pretty good. And here we have the decal sheet printed by Cartograf as usual. So instrument panel here, stencils along here, then various markings around here. One interesting thing here to note is that if you're painting this in another colour other than Humbrol's own colour, I don't know how well these blues are going to match up. So this blue line underneath here, that sort of just pulls a bit of demarcation away from the invasion stripes that are here. P for photo reconnaissance as well, and also on this this part of the registration plate here, you know, the aircraft code here, it's got this background colour. So you really want to make sure that your PRU colour, PRU blue that you're using, really does match up to that. And as usual, when you start looking really close up, you can see these Cartograf markings are excellent. Here's the end of my tweezers here, and you can really read things so clearly, really beautifully printed. Colours are spot on as well. Beautiful registration on this one as well. Okay, so I find this a little bit strange, and I don't see that there couldn't have been another way of doing this. But obviously there isn't, otherwise maybe they'd have done it. Maybe it's a parts thing, I don't know. But anyway, rear cockpit, rear fuselage area, there's a hole for an oblique camera, except there isn't a hole for an oblique camera. You gotta cut it out yourself. 3.2. There is a space there. It says, you know, it's obvious where you do it. 3.2mm drill. I might have one of those. If not, I'm gonna have to use a 3mm drill and then sort of make it a little bit bigger, I guess, somehow. So that there isn't another way around it. And then these three, I don't are these cameras as well? ID lights. I don't know what these are. But it's actually a jig. So these positions are already marked. There's a jig, you have to connect up the jig, 1.5mm holes, and use the jig to place the holes. The clear part is there already for you. You know, they've made the clear part to fit in the holes, and hopefully you use this jig accurately. And if there's, do you know, I don't know, it just strikes me as a little bit odd that you have to do that. That there isn't another way of doing it, bearing in mind that this has already been moulded here. Also bearing in mind that here at the back of the bomb bay, remember there was that, on the B-16, there was that awful piece that covered this, that actually should have been completely faired round. This is a separate part, completely separate part, with a hole for the transparency. Was it not possible to do this otherwise? I really don't know. Really don't know if this was, if this is the best way to do it or not. I know Pamjit did an interview recently on the workbench part of the Airfix website. Have a nose at that. Have a look through that and see if you can make sense of why they've had to do that. I'm not entirely sure why. The wingtips in clear plastic. You know, Airfix have been doing this a bit recently. It might be because they can, you know, mould different ones and there's a clear bit moulded into it. I don't know. It's on the Buccaneer. The wingtips are clear on the Buccaneer as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can just mould more sharply. I don't know, it's a bit weird. Here are those masks I was looking at here. They fit over, they actually do work very, very well. That's one very good bit of design right there. Very thoughtful piece of design. Of course, on the bomber version, there's one for the whole of the bomb bay as well. And yeah, you use the one wing surface here, I think the upper wing surface, to act as a template when you're building the undercarriage, because the undercarriage is quite a complex little bits of work. So that was the really strange thing, was the way you have to drill your own bits out for the cameras. So that's it. Intriguing colour schemes. I like the colour schemes. The kit itself has a lot of the things that we found out in the B16, which I reviewed, I think, in August of 21 when it was released. There's some really cool things, the way you use the upper wing to act as a jig for the undercarriage. Lovely. I like the addition of the spray masks over the undercarriage base. That's nice. The bit where you have to drill out your own windows is a bit strange. I don't know if there was a better solution to that within the constraints of part numbers and buildability and all the other things they have to worry about these days when they're designing kits. Just seems a bit strange to me that to make a PR plane you have to drill out your own holes, but there it is. I'll be making this fairly soon. I've got one or two other things in the pipeline already, but I'll be cracking on with this one pretty soon. I think I'll be doing the American colours, just because I like the big red tail, basically. Yeah, let's see how it goes together. The original one went together pretty well, so I'm hoping this does too. Anyway, if you've liked today's show, please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the button below. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they come along. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care now. Goodbye.